Okay, so welcome to the Cygnes District 4-H Leader Training. I am Carla Hightower, and I'm just going to go through, there's a bunch of things I have on today. So it is recorded as always, and there's a lot of things to get to, so I'm just going to go ahead and start. If you have questions at any time, feel free to just unmute yourself and ask them, or you can put them in the chat and I will try to monitor chat. If you see something and I'm not monitoring it, let me know. But our agenda for today is record books, PIN applications and awards, your year-end reports, financial reviews. We're also going to talk about the K-State Opportunities for Youth website. I have requirements for 4-H clubs because I know we're getting ready to start a new year here before too long. I have our new website tour because I know we've updated our website. It went live June 1st, I believe. So I wanted to kind of give you a tour of some of the things you might need as club leaders for that. We're going to talk window displays and posters, National 4-H Week, State Fair, enrollment and volunteer enrollment, and then a few tips on planning for the new year. So it is a packed agenda, but it is that time of year when things get rolling again and we are ending one year, 4-H year, and beginning another one. So, all right, so record books. I've sent this out as an email. There's lots of things on those new web pages, which I'll show you in a few minutes. But so record books are basically the MdC 4-H record book checklist, a personal page, and the Kansas report 4-H project report form. That can be Z Suites online or PDF form. I know I've heard a little bit of confusion on that. That's because I know I had somebody who thought that you had to do the Z Suites online, and you don't have to. I encourage it because it is part of your $15 membership fee, pays for that. And I do think once you get into it, there's a lot of features there that would be very helpful to you, like the fact that you can enter stuff from your phone or your iPad, the school iPad, or whatever other device you have that your schools have, because I know all schools have devices now, at least for certain grades. So you can actually enter those things from there. Voice to text can work on either one, but it works really well in Z Suites. I know that. So if you're having somebody who maybe a 4-H'er who doesn't type very well or doesn't do that, it's really good for younger kids too, because I know I sat down with my nieces and nephew and went, we discussed the question and then they'd put it in their own terms and words, and it would type around. You do need to still edit that and make sure that it types correctly, because we all know autocorrect is not always good on those things, but that is an option. All of those need to be in a separate folder for each project. So, and they can be a folder with Brad's, a record book cover, the traditional 4-H one, which we did just get some more in. So if you're needing those, we have them in the office, although I do believe they went up in price again. Or just a binder of some kind, the 3-ring notebook binder combination. I do ask that they be separate for each project. You don't have to do more than one project. I encourage all 4-H'ers to do at least one project. If you do one project and get your records filled out, that is a good basis to learn about record keeping and setting goals and all of those things that we want to teach in 4-H that'll help us out later in life. Those are all due October 1st to either office, so either the Paola or the Mount City office. Of course, clubs can have deadlines before that, so that's up to you guys, you and your club on that. All right, so kind of going to PIN applications and awards. They're due October 1st as well. You have the yearly member achievement PIN. That's the MdC member achievement PIN application. I would encourage everyone to use that because it gives you a lot more options on what you can use, and specifically to what we're doing here in the district. They can only get one member pin or achievement pin each year. And this is, when I'm talking about this is like the bronze, the silver, the leadership pin, all of those. You can skip pins. So if you have a member who maybe started as a 10, 11, 12-year-old, and maybe they got their membership pin, but they haven't gotten anything else, but yeah, they're doing all the things they need to be up around that, into that clover pin, or I'm not going to remember all the exact order, but into those silver pins and stuff like that. They can skip them, but they can't go back and get the pins they skipped. So try to make sure that if they skip ahead, they only skip certain, the number of years that they maybe weren't a 4-H'er. And you can only get each pin only once. This is also where we do basically the permanent record. So you can have them attach it to their achievement pin, and that would just be stapling it. It doesn't need to be in a binder or folder or anything like that. And those can come into us, or if you as a leader basically sign off on that achievement pin, I take it that you've seen their permanent record. And so that's the other way. And then you don't have to keep them. So if they want them in a binder or something, I would really prefer not to have those in my office because they get confused with everything else and lost. So you guys can keep those at your club level and return them there. Oh, I see my typo. Sorry about that. Kansas 4-H Key Awards are for 16 and older, not explanation 6 and older. They need to be in 4 or more years in 4-H. They need to have taken the leadership project for 4 years or more, and they need to meet at least 9 of the 11 other requirements. So this is the top award, one of the top awards you can get in Kansas 4-H, and is really supposed to be for just those kids that really do a lot in 4-H and have gained a lot of leadership experience. So if you have kids that are coming up, I know sometimes that leadership project thing gets kind of lost and keeps kids from being able to qualify. So, and the other thing is I would have them look at it, even if they're 14 and 15, it's always a good idea to have them look at that Key Award application so they kind of have an idea of what they do. Because one of the things on the Key Award is it also goes back several years. So it's like, did you give a presentation? At least one presentation in the last 3 years, and you have to list like, oh yes, 3 years ago I did this, and 2 years ago I did this. So, it's always good to have them looking at that and knowing what they want to do. So I would encourage you to encourage kids to fill that out. And also, if you have those, like I said, 14, 15, even 13-year-olds that are coming up that are going to be good, think about that too on that. I Dare You Leadership Awards is another award we have. These are for our 14 and older kids. They're supposed to show leadership and club in the community and demonstrate an excellence of character. And it's an application form, and this is all on our website under awards, yearly awards, I think it is, or awards and recognition, one of those two. And I'll show you here in a few minutes on that. But this used to be a book from William Danforth about the I Dare You, but those are harder and harder to find. So we are now doing kind of a journal type thing, and having it with some wording on it and being that award. So it's a little bit different than it used to be. If you were a 4-H'er and got the I Dare You award, you probably got something a little different than this, but I think it's still a good award, and it definitely recognizes those and encourages those 14, 15, 16-year-olds to make sure that they are showing leadership in their club, community, and schools. Any questions about record books, pin applications, awards, those type of things?
Carla,
Yes.
I have a family that I think maybe the husband was in 4-H when he was growing up a little bit, but the mom is definitely not familiar with it. And they've hosted an exchange student for a couple years, and they're a pretty active, involved family.
Mm-hmm.
The oldest daughter that's in 4-H still, she did not do leadership last year. However, she really jumped ahead in her pins. They had it in their minds that you apply for what is the highest award that you can get in years past. And so she's kind of surpassed and limited herself.
Okay.
And she came to our last meeting and turned in her PIN application, but they weren't sure what to do because they couldn't backtrack. And they had really gone ahead. And I didn't catch it either. I should have caught that in the last couple of years. I wasn't really thinking that being a problem either.
Yeah.
Is so do we, is there anything we can do? They were hoping maybe she could go back and get a pin, but I know that's kind of against the rules.
I don't know that I have any leeway in that because these are state rules now for
Okay.
that.
Okay.
They're not just Marais District rules or Miami County rules. They are
Uh-huh.
actually with the state. So
Okay.
unfortunately, no, but that doesn't mean
Yeah.
she can't continue to work towards that. Um, if she's the one I'm thinking,
Leadership. It,
let's say if she's the one I'm thinking of, she might be able to do the I Dare You Leadership Award because that does not require you to be in the leadership project for a certain number of years.
she's not old enough for that yet.
She's not old enough for that. Okay. I
No.
thought she'd be
But
getting
it's something to
close,
look
but
forward to.
yeah.
And maybe we can get them in the leadership this year.
Hmm.
That
Yeah.
would be ideal.
So that's one of the things that as club leaders, it's really important and something that I kind of need you to help me do is
Yeah.
help these kids make sure that they understand that when they turn about 12, they probably need to be in that leadership project. I know
Hmm.
it's just kind of a project that we take and we don't really, there's not a good place to exhibit at fair. You can do posters and displays and things like that and miscellaneous, but you don't have to. But it's still a good project to have, just so you can get those awards and you are doing leadership because they're being leaders in the club.
Yeah.
They're learning about
Exactly.
how to be, how to work with other people during club meetings and committees and things like that. So, um, that's one of the things that we probably are kind of missing right now. And it's my fault because I probably haven't pushed it quite enough. But we need to make sure we
It's a
get
s
that back into
and
our.
it's a skill they should be striving for as they're getting older and
Yes.
getting, yeah. So
I mean, I
I
will be
will,
honest.
I
When
will
I was a
definitely encourage that at our club.
Okay. I was gonna say, I will be honest, when I was a 4-H'er, they wanted us in leadership by the time we turned 10 or 7 to 10. I don't know that I have to say that. Um, but
Yeah.
they are, some of them are doing that because they're starting offices and they're learning about leadership.
Mhm.
So that's up to the families. But I would definitely say, usually by the time they're 12, they really need to be in that leadership project, especially if they're trying to get some of these awards.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right. I'm going to move on then. So, reports that are required here in the next 2 months or so. So, due October 1st is perfect attendance. This is for Miami County only, of course. And you just send that in to Carla and Julie, and they get entered in our drawings. And they're perfect. They get the little perfect attendance medals that we hand out. So we haven't been doing a good job of this either, and I'm the reason for that as well because I let that fall through the cracks a little bit. But if your club has perfect attendance, and the way you can do it is by getting your secretary's book or having your secretary even do it if you want to. They just need to send those names in of the kid that any kids who attended all of the meetings that you held that were held. That's what we're talking about there. Club seal applications. Hopefully you've been working on those all year, and those are due October 1st too. Um, it is basically a checklist of guidelines for clubs to thrive. And we've been talking in these trainings this last year about 4-H thriving model. We want, part of it is making sure our clubs are doing what we need them to do as well, and making sure that they're reaching the needs of our youth. So that is one way we do that is club seal applications. And it's okay if you don't. The other thing we got to think about is it's okay if you're a blue, if you get a red, white, or blue, as long as you're trying to improve. That's the whole thing. Just keep improving. That's all that we ask of our kids. That's all that we ask of our clubs as well. Club leadership report is also due October 1st. That's that list of officers, leaders, meeting plans, and other items about your club. I didn't finish that sentence either. Sorry about that. Used for promotional. We use it for promotional here and also when I have questions. So when I say promotional, I have a website basically with a listing, a document that lists all the clubs, when they meet, where they meet, and the club leader and phone number for the club leader. And that's what we send to people who walk into my office, or if I'm at have a booth somewhere or something, or some of our club leaders take them to other events too. That's what we send home with kids to, or home with families to figure out so they can join a club basically. So we get those right off of that. If something changes on your club leadership report during the year, I mean, I know it's one thing if you just like, oh, we're gonna have a special meeting and it's gonna be, 1 month we're gonna do something different, and so it's not gonna be there. But if for some reason you end up changing like locations for all, the month, or from going forward, we're gonna, Sunday at 4 is not working for us, so we're gonna change to Monday at 6 again. We need to know those things too, so we can get that updated and changed. The other thing I would have to say on that is please make sure that you do have some consistency in when your meetings are. Just simply, like I said, except for like the special occasion, but just simply because it's a lot harder for families to know when they can do things and put it on a schedule if you're jumping around every month and not having a consistent meeting date and time. So try to be consistent in that. I understand that there's times you're going to do a community service and you're going to count that as a meeting, or you're going to do something special, maybe have a fun trip or a field trip or something, cook out at somebody's house, and that's fine. We want you to have those things too. But just try to have where majority of your meetings are happening at the same time and the same date on the same day of the month, basically. Okay. And then financial reviews. So those are due November 1st. They have to be in because my extension board has to have, has actually all, so the MdC Extension Board is tasked with all money that is, with basically not managing, but overseeing all the money that is raised in the name of 4-H in the Cygnes District. So this is the way we do this in Kansas. And so it's really important that you get your financial reviews in by November 1st. This is a push across the state. On that too, committees must not be signature, or not committees, sorry. Yes, people on the committee must not be signatures on the accounts. So you can't have your treasurer who's a signature on your account, or you as a club leader, because a lot of the times you are all club leader, as club leaders, you're all on the accounts too. You can't have your family members be on that. That seems to be our number one kind of, and I wouldn't say red flag, but the number one thing that we write back and say, hey, you really need to do this differently going forward to our clubs. So please be sure and make sure that when you're picking your financial review committee, that you're trying to be mindful of that. If you do not have enough people to do that, then please contact me and I'll try to set you up with maybe another club that is in that same boat and we can switch off or something. They're supposed to review the treasurer's book and make suggestions, and they must be in by November 1st to keep your club status. And by that means to basically be a 4-H club. So we need that. We're trying to get it. I'm going to try to get it a little bit quicker, although some of it's club meetings and when my executive board and extension board actually meets is part of the problem. But we do send those back to you after they've been approved with the suggestions from the review committee, because we have several that review them as well and what you need to do. So be sure and try to look at those. Be sure and hand those off to your treasurer so that they kind of have an idea of what needs to be improved, and keep going, because we're always learning. There's always new things, ways of doing things, and that's one of the ways we kind of learn those. And sometimes you get them where everything's okay, and that's good too. So any questions about all those reports that were required? Okay. All right. Gonna stop sharing with this. So one of the new things we have is just a second, sorry. So one of the new things that Kansas 4-H has done is they have you're seeing that. So they have came up with this on kansas4h.org under educational experiences. They have K-State opportunities for youth, and it is basically kind of a clearinghouse of all the opportunities that, well, I wouldn't say all, because I know not all of them are on here, but they're trying to get all of them on here, um, of the things that you can do at K-State and what grades they're for. Now, a lot of them are going to be 9 to 12 grades. Like you have the Women in Business Career Summit in November for grades 9 plus. But there's a few that are here for 6 to 12, or, like farm to fashion camp, which is 7 to 12. Here's a Excite thing that's exploring science, technology, and engineering for grades 6 to 8. And there's a couple of different ones for K to 8. So, but it's just kind of a fun thing to kind of see what all is offered by K-State for our youth. They might find something that's really interesting to them that would help them with their projects, because I know we don't always have project leaders in all of these projects. So, if they're really into insects, maybe going up and talking to the Department of Entomology about the insect zoo is something they would like to do as a family. It does have your athletic camps as well. It talks about some of our 4-H things, and they even have some of the things at Olathe and Salina campuses. So you can kind of see when they're doing different things at different campuses. It doesn't look like we have Olathe up here yet, but they do have Salina there. And then they've got the bands, choir, theater, dance, all of those things. So I think this is an involving list, but I wanted you to know about it. And it will be in the newsletter, which will go out next Tuesday as well. So trying to get families know. But if you have somebody who might be interested in it, or if you want to share it with your families, please do, so that they know where to go to find some of this information and, some of those opportunities for youth that maybe are outside of our district, but the K-State is offering. Okay. Just a reminder, and I know both of you have actually already know this kind of, but since we're getting ready to start planning for a new 4-H year, I just wanted to remind you of the 4-H community club structure, the requirements to be a 4-H club, which these are on your club seal as well, but you have to be letter advised by 2 or more screened and board approved adult volunteers. So if your club is kind of transitioning leadership this year, or you're needing to add another leader, please be sure and make sure that they get through our screening process as soon as possible. And when I get to volunteer enrollment, I'll kind of go through that screening process as well. So you have to have at least 5 youth members from at least 3 different families. You have to emphasize project exploration, leadership, and civic engagement. You have to conduct at least a minimum of 6 regular educational experiences per year. I really would prefer that you do the 9 to 12. Gatherings but not limited to business meetings, project meetings, service learning opportunities, and other learning activities. We need to limit our business meetings a little bit more so that we're more engaging to our families and there are things that they want to come to. So, think outside the box. Yeah, you need to do business and you need to have some of that traditional business meeting in there, but, it's okay to take a couple of months off, and do maybe a field trip or a community service project or some kind of educational project learning things. And I know some of our clubs do really good on that. Some of them are still struggling on that. So you have to have democratically elected youth leaders to provide direction in the club with shared youth leadership opportunities, with shared decision-making and agreed upon rules and bylaws. Democratically elected youth leaders doesn't mean that you have to necessarily have a popular vote. It just means that you have to offer it to everyone and make sure. So however you're doing that is okay. The elections, there's several different ways 4-H clubs can do elections. That's okay. But yeah, just making sure that you have that shared youth leadership. It's not just adults saying what we're doing in the club, that youth have a voice as well. Keep meeting project and financial records and submit the required reports. We kind of went over what required reports are. Follow state and local 4-H policy. And we always, at the beginning of the year when you enroll, we try to send out that 4-H policy guide for Cygnes District. And then of course the state policy is actually available. You can see that anytime, or if you have any questions about that, let me know. And you have to have a 4-H charter, which all of our clubs right now do. So, all right, I am now going to turn it into a tour of the website. Okay, so this is the MdC.kstate.edu or ksu.edu because it'll come here either way. Either way you do it. It is our new website, so it looks a little bit different. The nice thing is that you can get to us several ways, and it will look a lot different on a phone than it does, or a mobile device than it does here as well. But a couple of the things I want to show you is we have the how to join 4-H. So it kind of goes through basically how you join 4-H. So finding a club, here is all the clubs we have. Here's my 4-H explained 4-H clubs video. We have project clubs, different things like that. So that's all there. We got to talk about selecting projects, being an independent 4-H, becoming a 4-H volunteer, the MdC family guide, and then Clover Buds and additional. And I think, yeah, that's my family guide and policy. So that's where that is. Then we also have fair information over here. We have the Miami County Fair, the Lynn County Fair, and the Kansas State Fair. So that's all across the top. Or if you're on a mobile device, I think it's the 3 lines. And if you see those 3 lines, you can get down and it'll show those up. The other thing that's really nice about our homepage is we also have pictures. So if you aren't seeing like the things across the top, you can just go down and these are basically all of our things. So if you want to go into 4-H youth development, you just click on the 4-H youth development, or you get it from program areas as well. And we're the first one on there. The first page is just kind of a general one. We have information about enrollment, which I am still building that, but we do have the how to join 4-H on there right now. The policies and procedures. So if you need to know where that family guide is, we should have, there's a couple policies that are not on there, and I will have to make sure those get on there. We're still building it out a little bit too, and we're finding things are missing every once in a while. The one that you probably need the most is the club leader resources. So this is where we have lots of information for you. I have the Cygnes District 4-H club leader volunteer role description. If you have the club note, we have printed ones, but we also have it digitally on Padlet. And I think if you click on here, it'll take you straight to it. We do try to update that every once in a while. So if you're needing information on that, here's your year-end report. So there's your club leadership report, your club seal report, and your financial review, and the financial review checklist. If at any time in your clubs you have a incident with one of your club members or a parent even, we need an incident report. And these can be medical accidents, behavioral incidents, or discipline incidents. And you will need to send it to me. So that is available there. And then of course your name and emblem use. We also have kind of under your resources, I have some other pages. like welcoming new members, talking about, some things on welcoming new members. We have some promotional items like the candy and pencil labels for joining 4-H and the printable coloring pages. We have some meeting resources. So when you're planning your meetings and planning your year, that's kind of where these might be: creative roll call ideas, ways to enhance your meeting, the 4-H greet sheet, celebrating with ceremonies, all those things are there. I also have club management. This is kind of those things out of your club leader notebook as well, but like to save the dates for here, when we're doing our club leader trainings, your club project report forms, your club leader calendar, which I didn't talk about that, but if you do want to do a club project, those are due October 1st as well. Community service ideas, just different things, making sure you have a parents committee in your club. All of those things are there. And then I do, I record these and I put them out and they go right here. So if you ever miss a meeting and you don't get my email, because I usually send it out via an email as well, but they are also right here, at least the last 4 usually for the year. We usually do them by the year. So this one will go on here and it'll be the last one for this year. And then we'll start over here in October and put them back on. We also have some information on projects. So if you have people who are wanting to know when our training schedules are, they're going to be right there under your project, your district training schedules. So you have your dog training schedule, your Miami County and Lynn County dog training schedule, your rabbit training schedules, your shooting sports. Those all are right there. So if you have families that are in that, one of the things on shooting sports is they really need to get enrolled before they come to the meetings. So encourage them to do that. But there's lots of information about, we don't have every project out there yet. We're working on that, but there is lots of information there on it. If you're club officers, this is information about your club officers. Presentation day. The one you're probably going to use the most right now is awards. This is where you can see the district member achievement pin application. Your key award is right here, the I Dare You, and then going into record books. And I tried to make it a little bit easier to understand. So like, here's your checklist, your personal page, and your project report form. That's what you need. If you want to do the online Z form option, here's all the information about that. If you want to do the regular Adobe Acrobat, you just click on that arrow and it goes down. So, and there are tutorial videos on there as well. So, and of course, if you have any problems, call me or email me. I'm still working on the scholarship and careers part. We will get that up. If you want regional and state events, we put those out here. And then volunteer information on how to become a volunteer. We have the foundation. And then Caitlin's put together a youth livestock one as well. So it has like livestock tagging dates, YQCA, state livestock domination information, and is linked to the Grand Drive and the Kansas Junior Livestock Show. So if you have people who are in livestock and want to go to some of those shows, I know sometimes as club leaders, it's hard to keep up with all those things, but we're trying to make it as user-friendly as possible. And I'm sure we'll add things as we go. If you think of something that maybe is not out here, let us know and we'll try to get it out here, or if there's something you need. But yeah, I think it's pretty easy when you get into it. It's just going to take a little bit of time to know where things are, because they did change around from where they were for previous years. So any questions so far, I guess I should say. Okay.
Actually, Carla,
Yes.
when you were talking about holding the elections for your club officers and stuff,
Yes.
um, Is it okay to do a slated sheet that they can vote on?
Yeah, I think the whole thing is they just want them to be able to vote. Um, I don't have a problem with slated because to me that's
Okay.
like that's what we do. I mean, you know, we're saying democratically and we're a democratic society, but yet, you know, we
Mhm.
don't vote for president. We vote for people who are going to vote for president, the electoral college. So I
Mhm.
don't have a problem with slated. I think that's one of the ways you can do it. The thing is, you just want to make sure the kids are actually voting on that
Okay.
slate. So, because I do think slate
Uh-huh.
has,
And then keep it open if somebody does want can.
yeah, yeah, you do have to open those out and ask, you know, I mean, they can make the motion to, you know, cease nominations, but you do have to ask for nominations from the
Mhm.
floor. Um,
Mhm.
but I do think slating them sometimes helps work kids through and is more likely to get all of our youth to through a, you know, to actually have that officer experience than actually just
Yeah. Okay.
so.
Sounds
But
good. Thanks.
not that there's anything wrong with actually just doing elections to, hey, who wants to be president and taking elections from the floor
Mhm.
either. Either way is very acceptable. So
Okay. Great. Thank you.
you're welcome. That was a good question. All right. I'm going to keep moving on then. We're getting closer to being done. Just a quick thing about window displays and posters for National 4-H Week. They need to be up by October 6th. I will send out an email with a bunch of stuff tomorrow, and this will be in part of it. Email photos to Tracy by October 7th, and it's a great way to promote your club in 4-H. So feel free to get those. Those are something to be thinking about and get started on. National 4-H Week is October 5th through the 11th, and the theme is Beyond Ready. And I don't know if have you seen the commercials for Beyond Ready, or is that something I just noticed because I don't think they're actually on TV. I think I've just seen them. I might have just seen them through work. um, but basically, Beyond Ready is our new campaign for 4-H, National 4-H, and it is all about basically striving to prepare our youth for basically the future. So careers, life, and everything in the future here. So, which is really what 4-H has been doing for 120 years. But you know, we also know that technology is changing. There was a report in 2020, I think it was, or 2021, that over half of the jobs for 2030 had not been created yet at that time. So that's one of the things we're kind of thinking about too. We're doing a lot of entrepreneurship, a lot of career ready things across the state, and of course we've started that here in the district as well with 4-H entrepreneurs. We're talking YEC now, which is Youth Entrepreneurship Challenge. We're going to host that for the first time in Miami County in February. And you'll be getting more information about that in the coming couple months. But those are all the things about Beyond Ready. So that's kind of the theme for National 4-H Week. If you want to do your posters or your things by that, there is a lot of information out, but there's still more coming. Two things that Kansas 4-H is doing for National 4-H Week is let me grab that. We have Monday, October 6th, which is going to be our Go Green Day. That is where you basically I encourage all members to wear something green, anything. Beyond Ready shirts, green shirts, hats, socks, clover, stickers, tattoos, whatever you have to. It's simple. Just have some fun and make sure you're wearing your green on Monday, October 6th. Um, and then October 9th, we're doing 4-H for Good Day. And this is a day to recognize all the good our 4-H members and volunteers do throughout the year. You're encouraged to share basically the impact your 4-H program has on communities and beyond. So, you know, it's a way to share community service projects, different things that we do throughout the year that we know 4-H is doing. So, we can share those if you guys have a community service project and want to do that on October 9th. I know that's a Thursday, so it's not always the easiest time to get people. But that's something to do. Or if you want to do it right before, and maybe you do like a food drive or something, and then take pictures of it and publicize it on your Facebook or different places, that's good too. But it is all about 4-H for Good Day is October 9th. All right, State Fair, it's right around the corner. Actually, I will leave tomorrow, a week from tomorrow, but September 5th through the 14th is actually the official State Fair. All of our items go out earlier than that because they're judged before fair actually opens. So I will be taking exhibits on September 3rd. I will try to leave the office at 4:30. So please try to make sure you have the items in the office by September 3rd at 4:30 p.m. And they will be returning and be ready for pickup on September 17th. I know that's a couple days after the fair gets over, but we pick those up Monday morning and we bring them all back together. And then we need a little bit of time to divvy them between the two offices, the Mound City and the Paola office. So that's why we're giving us a day to get them back here and then a day to get them to the places they need to be in between the two offices. So that's kind of where we're at on that. All right, talking about enrollment. It starts October 1st. You cannot enroll until October 1st. They must enroll in 4-H online. That seems to be one of the biggest questions I get from newer families. So just kind of to think about making sure that we're explaining that when we do it. There are guides available for 4-H online. If you need those, let me know and we can get you some copies of them to hand out to your families. We usually send out via email to the returning families, but new families don't always get those, and we can get those to you. I would please emphasize this to your 4-H families as they enroll. They need to pick projects when enrolling. I have a lot of families that for some reason enroll their kids and pick one project and think they're going to go back before the May 1st deadline and add the rest of them. And they're forgetting to do that. Which is not a good thing. And then we're having to tell them no at fair that they can't exhibit in those things. So just encourage them to go ahead and pick those projects when they enroll in the first time. They can always add and delete, but if they get a majority of them down there, it's a lot easier than to just put in poultry and then forget that you want to be in foods and arts crafts as well. So make sure to do that. Returning members must enroll by January 15th. New members must enroll by May 1st. And of course, our add delete project deadline is May 1st as well. So, and then volunteer enrollment. So it starts October 1st as well. And all of you are screened volunteers right now because you're club leaders and you've been through the screening process. Each year, you must enroll in 4-H online as well. So when you're enrolling your kids in 4-H online, just go ahead and enroll yourself as a volunteer. That's the way you keep your volunteer status up to date, and we keep you as a screened volunteer. New volunteers. So if you have a new club leader or new project leader or somebody that's going to be driving kids or doing anything basically with our kids, encourage them to become a new volunteer. And to be a new volunteer, they must enroll in 4-H online, but then they also must complete a background check on another website. I think this is confusing a lot of them because they think that they enroll in 4-H online and that is their background check. It is a separate website that we have to do the background check on. So that seems to be what's catching most of our volunteers and what we don't always get them to actually complete. So please encourage them to do that. Then they complete the Kansas 4-H volunteer orientation in online, 4-H online, and then they have to be approved by my MdC extension board as well. And so each month I try to take names of whoever's on that week that they do. This is a free process. 4-H Foundation and Extension is basically paying for the background checks on all of our volunteers. trying to make sure that we have the volunteers we need. So it used to cost a little bit of money, and now it's all covered. Basically, thank you for being a volunteer and for being willing to volunteer. So that is one of the things to think about. If you have new volunteers, and they have questions, please let me know, or especially if there's something that you can't help them with. But I really do encourage you, especially those club leaders, because you have to have 2 club leaders who are screened. If you have new club leaders coming on board here in the next couple months, let's get them through and get them screened. I know they can't get in 4-H online yet, but we can go ahead and do their background checks and try to get those through. And then all they have to do is enroll in 4-H online, and we'll approve them. The one thing is, we are not approving volunteers in 4-H online until they have completed their background check. So that is one of the new things we're trying to do to kind of make sure that we do get that background check on them. So if they go in there and they see that they're still pending, or not approved, pending approval, that's the reason why we don't have a background check for them, most likely. So any questions about that? I'm going to roll on. I'm almost done, so we're good. Just a couple of things when planning for the new year. I found a couple of things. For one thing is to be sure and plan ahead. So, I know I'm bad about this too. I sometimes get in the, I can put it off, procrastination mode. I've been in it, I think, the most of the month of August, it seems like. But we really do need to plan ahead, and well-ran 4-H clubs have a plan in place. They get this plan in place in September or first part of October, and they have the whole year's plan basically of when they're meeting, what they're going to do, things like that. Not that things can't change, because we want to be some flexible and do some different things, but it is really important to try to get that plan in place so people can get it on their calendars and know what's coming up. So it's also important to share responsibility between members, parents, and volunteers, and plan programs which meets the needs of all of them. You want to make sure you involve the youth in planning. It's not supposed to be your job to plan. It's actually supposed to be like your leadership, your officer team, and you can actually get other ideas. I found a thing from Colorado that had ideas on getting members' ideas, and each member has different ideas about what clubs should do. Remember that some are shy and may not speak up. So some different techniques to discover these ideas so that all youth have the opportunity for input. Have a suggestion box and ask parent members to write suggestions for the upcoming year in a confidential box. They don't have to put their name on it. It's just ideas. Using a blackboard or tape a large piece of paper to the wall, and as groups arrive, ask them to write or draw on them paper at least one thing they want to do in 4-H or do in the club during the year. You can use magic markers, crayons, anything. Divide them into small groups of 5 to 6 and ask members to suggest club activities, events, or goals. Collages. This is kind of an interesting one, and one I hadn't thought of, which was having members attach pictures or other items that suggest activities they are interested in to large sheets of paper, boxes, crayons, or cartons or bags. And they can explain their collages mean. Necessary materials include magazines, newspaper, construction paper, crayons, glue, scissors. So I could see some kids really thinking that that's kind of cool. And, it almost could be a 4-H project if they do it correctly. So you want to make sure you're having educational opportunities. So make sure that when you're planning that you have some of those things, like, there are some business meetings, but there's not a lot of the, not necessarily 12 months of them. But then there's field trips and other opportunities for 4-Hers to do different things. Make sure that they also have opportunities to do public speaking or presenting in front of the group. I think that's one of the things some of our clubs, not all of them, some are getting away from, and I think that's an important part of 4-H as well. And then, of course, your community service. What are you going to do to help out your community and plan those things? And, of course, you have the 48 hours of 4-H. I think that's coming up right there with 4-H, probably that with kind of that do good day. 4-H for the Good day as well. So if you want to do a project for 48 hours of 4-H, you can. All right, we are to the end. So any questions or anything that I haven't covered that you need to ask me about?
Quick question, Carla.
Yes.
Do you have like where do you find the club agenda or the meeting agendas? There used to be an outline somewhere. Is that still available?
So I think that is, yes, I believe so. I believe that might be well, I think it's in 2 different places, and I'm not positive
Okay.
on this for sure.
I
I
haven't
think
looked real close.
okay, I think it's in our notebook, our club leader notebook. So if you have that Padlet, look there. But I also
Okay.
think it's also on our website under club leader resources under that club management part.
Okay.
And if you can't find it those 2 places, let me know. And when I'll find it and make sure we get it out there, because that just probably means we forgot about it. So,
Okay.
but it might be in both of those places, to be honest, but it should be definitely in one of those 2 places.
The other thing we were looking for, and this was a couple of weeks ago, was there apparently used to be a list, like a page where you could keep track of what pins you had applied for, what membership pins you had applied for already, so that you
Yes.
wouldn't try to back yourself. Is that, can you think where that might be?
I don't know that that's out there right
Because
now.
we did look for that and couldn't find it.
Yeah. That's one
Okay.
of the things that's on my to-do list when I get it. I've got to go looking for it. It was not on the, I think it was linked from, I got it from somebody else, and now I can't find it on the internet. I got it from like another county or
Oh,
state.
shoot.
Well, I think it was another county, and now I can't find where it
Oh,
was, and I
right.
haven't found it in my files either. So, and I'm afraid that's one of the things that kind of got
Okay.
lost when we switched websites. So it's on my to-do list, but I haven't got to
Uh-huh.
it yet. So,
Okay.
sorry
I
about
know we took one that erased it. So if you need a copy of that, I could send it to you.
that. Okay. And I guess the other thing is if you needed to, that front page of our member pin application would almost do it because it's a checklist of what pin you're going to meet. And if you just put like a year in there, or put a check mark when you
Yeah,
get them, you could use that too. It's not quite the same form. I know
you
what form you're
could.
talking about, but yeah.
Uh-huh.
If you have to, that's another way of doing it. Probably
Yeah,
actually,
that's true.
if I have to recreate it, that might be what I do to recreate it, is kind
Okay.
of put that list on there. So
Yeah, that's a good idea. Okay, thank you.
you're welcome. Any other questions? Okay. Well, thank you so much for taking the time and doing this training, and also for being our club leaders, because we couldn't do it without you. You're the ones that are making a difference in our 4-Hers lives every month, and probably more often than that, and more than you actually know about. So I really do appreciate everything you do. And if you have any questions or issues or anything, I'm always there and available to try to help you out, because I'm here for your support and to help you be the best leader you can be, just like I'm here to help our 4-Hers be the best they can be. So thank you for all you do, and have a good evening.
Thanks, Carla.
Thank you.